In Chicago, two comedian skeptics named Andy and Art were mysteriously abducted by the illusionary mastermind and conspiracy theorist known only as Mr. Bunker. The following serves as a record of Bunker's attempt to convince non-believers of the truth about conspiracies and paranormal activity. Andy and Art give an uninterrupted presentation and verdict on the plausibility of these offbeat topics, delivering what they call the whole enchilada. Will Mr. Bunker convince these two skeptics any of this is real? Will it convince you?
And welcome to Mr. Bunker's Conspiracy Time Podcast. As always, I'm your co-host, Arthur Stone, and with me, as always, is your co-host, Andy Hart.
Hey there, Art.
Andy!
Hi, Art.
Another week, we are here in the bunk.
Another week.
Another week.
Another bunker.
Another bunker.
Bunking my whole life away.
That's our new theme song. What do you guys think? On the spot.
Hope you like it.
If this is your first time joining us, welcome. This is the podcast where two guys are abducted by the titular Mr. Bunker, brought to his secret doomsday bunker, and forced to podcast about various conspiracy theories, paranormal activity, and all things bizarre. We are two skeptics, two Chicago skeptics, and each week Mr. Bunker wants to convince us and you, the listener, of strange conspiracy theory or weird situation.
He wants you to see things from his angle.
That's right. And today is no different, Andy, but before we jump into it, I want to bring up something that you said to me a couple weeks ago that I think is really interesting.
Oh.
So this is our, this has got to be like our 8th episode, right?
So, yeah.
The 8th week in a row that Mr. Bunker has abducted us. Every Sunday we get abducted. And we get brought to this bunker.
That's basically 2 months.
So 2 months in a row we have been abducted. And we've been now publishing out this podcast. Andy, before this all started, you were not a big podcast guy.
Wow, that's true. I was not.
You in fact, I don't think you ever listened to one. They weren't your jam.
Not my thing. To be honest with you.
Explain yourself.
I didn't have a lot of it's one of those media that I just never really embraced before.
You're still listening to your shortwave radio, right?
Right. I
AM
sit
radio.
at home in bed at night with my ham radio.
Well, and your ham sandwich.
Yeah, it's when I say ham radio, I just mean I am eating ham in bed.
Is that your name for your wife?
I'm eating.
Oh my God.
I'm eating ham in bed.
Amanda, I am so sorry. Actually, your wife makes an amazing ham loaf. Shout out to your wife.
Yeah, great ham loaf.
Amanda. I fucking think about that ham loaf a lot.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's a very special treat when I get some of it.
We'll invite you over the next time.
Okay. But you were not a big podcast guy. And then as, you know, you were obviously being abducted every week by Mr. Bunker, you grew to somewhat appreciate the medium a little bit more, would you say? Is that correct?
I think that that's probably fair. It got you
thinking about it.
It got me immersed in the world and it got me thinking about what other podcasts were out there. I would still not call myself a heavy podcast listener. I am heavy. I am an occasional podcast listener, but I wouldn't call myself a heavy podcast listener.
Right. And I wouldn't either, but I do think it's interesting that now you you listen to a few. Obviously you don't listen to this show because it's for trash people.
I don't need to listen to it. I lived it.
That's right. You've got a memory like a steel trap, like the bunker. You got a memory like a bunker.
Yeah.
But you also like the Milk Street podcast.
Oh, do I ever?
Shout out to Chris Kimball.
Yeah, and Milk Street Radio.
I'm a big J. Kenji Lopez Alt fan.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, he's great. Got some great recipes. Love that smash burger. And dragon noodles. Those were good too. So anyway, listeners, each week, Mr. Bunker dupes us. And each week on this podcast, we have been telling the world about how he tricks us.
Mm-hmm.
But to no success. He gets us every week, no matter what. At this point, we've kind of, I don't want to say we've given up, but we've maybe accepted our fate a little bit.
If it stops happening, I will be pleasantly surprised.
Right.
But if it doesn't, I'm also like, it's not so bad.
Right. I mean, there could be worse things. Obviously I don't like being, he doesn't have to go so elaborate with it every single time.
Like, he could just ask us to do it and we would maybe agree to it.
Yeah.
Like, at this point,
He doesn't have to take us to a bunker.
yeah. I mean,
That's kind of the ambiance.
he could just like pick us up. Like, he's already following us around. He
Yeah.
could just like make an arrangement with us.
Yeah.
We have enough of a relationship at this point.
I mean, sometimes I think I see him places, but then it turns out it's not him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very like, it is affecting my daily life a little bit.
I see his face on potatoes a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
like those people who see like Christ images in food.
right. Yeah. Like if you look at an uncooked russet potato,
Just right.
a lot of them have a very titular bunker appearance.
And he's kind of he's a shadowy guy. Like he hides himself. He wears like a cap. He's got big, thick glasses.
Yeah.
Big Coke bottle glasses, long, stringy gray hair, tufts of gray hair, and a
Right.
grizzly beard. He's a
got
little bit. He looks like the Unabomber mixed with a farmer, I would
Right.
say.
The unifarmer.
Yeah. Monsanto's worst nightmare. The Unifarmer.
How do you think he'd feel about me comparing him to a vegetable with dozens of eyes?
He'd probably give you a talking to.
Ooh, can't wait till he hears this one.
You might get a spanking.
Ooh, yeah, that's
He doesn't spank you?
no, that's over the line for me.
Oh, okay.
You were just letting him spank
No,
you?
maybe I'll say something.
Wait, why did you just accept that?
Anyway, how did we get abducted this week, Andy? What do you want to? I complained, okay?
About what? The lack of spankings? And
No.
so he helped you out by introducing spankings?
No, I complained that there's not enough to do sometimes.
So he spanked you.
Yeah,
That's something to do.
he had a paddle.
That's like
And he had an oar. You know an oar?
yeah.
Not like either or, but an oar.
OAR, not the band.
Not the band.
I'm just spelling it.
Yeah. But I am falling even more in love with you.
Art, I feel like Mr. Bunker's like an old-fashioned parent here.
Yeah, he's old school.
He's like, "Oh, you're bored? I'll give you something to be bored about."
Yeah, and then he took out a board and he spanked me with it.
Yeah, right. The old board of
I
education.
mean, he didn't turn me over his knee.
Yeah, that's good.
He just kind of hit me in the butt with it. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Pants on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, sometimes we get dropped off here without our pants.
Well, that's happened before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not outside the realm of possibilities that I could be bare bottom spanked.
But it's not specifically because you have a bare bottom.
You ever moon anybody?
No.
Really?
No.
Not once?
No.
I think I've done it. I don't think I've done bare ass, but I think I've mooned people. I don't know in public either.
You've never been bare-assed in public? I've been embarrassed.
You ever been publicly nude?
No.
Really?
Well, I mean, no.
I don't think the pool counts.
A locker room, does that count? I don't
No.
think so. I wouldn't call that publicly nude.
Did you have to change in gym class in high school?
Yeah.
Were you a put a towel over your body kind of change guy, or did you just drop trow and get her done?
Yeah, I was just to get her done.
Really?
But I don't think we didn't have to get completely nude. Like,
You didn't do like a swim section in your gym class?
no. Oh, and no.
We did.
No, we didn't have a pool.
Yeah. We did. And I was a big baby about it.
You
I
didn't
covered
wanna-
myself in a towel.
You don't want to be naked?
I just like covered myself in a towel.
Are you ashamed of your body?
I was 14 years old, Andy.
Right.
I think every 14-year-old is ashamed
But
of
what
their
about
body.
now?
No, now I would be fine. I used to go to a public gym and well, actually, I don't think I ever changed into my underwear. Maybe I did occasionally. I think one or two times, I tried to do the bring my gym bag with me to work and then go immediately after work to the gym, which is something I don't like doing. It's just too much. So I would have to change out of my work clothes, and I just, you just, drop down to your underwear. It's not a big deal. But I mean, in this gym class, it was stripping nude.
Wow.
Fully nude.
Right.
So I did the towel method.
Okay.
And I'm not ashamed to say that.
Did you take any flack from your classmates?
No, I think, especially as a freshman in high school, I was so under the radar. I didn't get bullied, but I also didn't get.
You weren't popular, but nobody
noticed me.
Yeah,
because I don't think they knew who I was.
You were too medium.
There wasn't anything about me that they would pick on. Like I wasn't like a big doofus or like a, like a Shrek looking kind of guy. Like they would pick on like kids who had
Shrekers, as they're called.
They would, they for the football players would pick on
Shrekies.
Yeah, they'd pick on the Shrekies. The Trekkies and the Shrekies.
Trekkies and Shrekies.
Don't get those wires crossed, though.
Oh.
God, those communities hate each other.
Yeah, there's a lot of animosity there.
They would pick on the people with noticeable things about them that they knew were weak prey. They could sense it.
Right.
And they would mostly just putz around with each other and fucking slap each other's asses. And I was just kind of, me and all the other, like, kids were like, God, can we just get this over with?
Yeah.
Can I just survive today? Would just kind of change quietly and then go swimming.
Wait, what was your method? You wrap the towel around your waist.
Yeah, and then Well, your swim trunks, and then reversed for swim trunks.
Okay.
So you would take your swim trunks off, put your undies on, and then once you get the undies on, what do you care?
What do you do with your wet swimsuit?
They had this weird machine that you would put your swim trunks in.
That cylinder?
Yes. And it would squeeze all the water out instantly. And then
it doesn't squeeze it. It just spins it out.
Oh.
It just spins.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's what we had. And it never, ever dried it completely. So
no.
What fucking sucked was I had gym like first period, like first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So I'd be walking around all day with a fucking wet swimsuit. Or I would shove it in my locker, I guess, after a couple classes. And then it's like, ugh.
It gets it pretty dry, though.
It does a
but
pretty
it's not
good job.
Completely.
Right.
You should have had a wet bag.
I probably did bring a wet bag. I mean, I probably bought some kind of plastic bag.
Probably did.
I don't remember, Andy. It was like a million years ago.
You remember the towel method, but you don't remember what you did.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things etched into my mind. Stressful things.
Okay. Well, coming up on another episode of Mr. Bunker's Conspiracy Time podcast, what did Art do with his swimsuit in high school?
Hey, listeners, how did you change in high school?
Were you towel, no towel?
Yeah, let us know. Hashtag towel or no towel. Hashtag you're a towel. And tweet at us at Mr. Bunker Pod. Let us know about your weird high school gym changing stories. It was hard, Andy.
Yeah, what a good thing for us to do, solicit people to tell us stories about them being naked in high school.
It's all in good fun. Speaking of good fun, Andy, we are here once again in the bunker. Let's give the listeners a little background into how Bunker got us this week.
How did he get us this week?
Be my guest.
Okay. Okay, we've been through a lot of iterations of bunker capture.
Right.
So this one is one of the more interesting ones.
Okay.
So Chicago is famous for the Lincoln Park Zoo, which is a zoo in the heart of the city.
Yes.
And the zoo is a good place to go and spend an afternoon with your family, which I chose or spend a day, which is what I tried to do.
Yeah.
Today. And there's an exhibit on rodents. And are you familiar with the capybara?
Yeah, it's the largest of all land rodents.
Right, from the Amazon area. Yeah.
Yes.
Not the largest rodent in the water, though.
Although the capybara is very aquatic.
I'm just imagining this sea-dwelling rodent.
The sea rat.
Anywho, we were going into the rodent exhibits, and a capybara sprang its holding.
Wow.
And starts running around in the zoo. And I was distracted watching it while my family walked off. They moved on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Because the zoo personnel were all around there. And sure enough.
Oh, no.
Sure enough.
Oh, no.
One of the trash cans right behind me at the zoo was Bunker. That capybara gets close to me, and I take one step backwards, and the next thing I know, the trash can pops up, and just whoop, I go right in through the lid.
Wow.
Into the trash can.
He dressed up like a trash can. Now, did he plan that? Did he know? Did he let the capybara loose?
I think he let the capybara loose. He's not admitting it. He's not denying it.
That's a conspiracy theory.
Coming up on a future episode of Mr. Bunker's Conspiracy Time podcast. Who let the capybara out of its enclosure?
Wow. So you were just stuck in a little trash bag the whole way.
Yeah. Didn't even poke a hole in it. I got
Jeez.
super lightheaded.
Wow.
And he went for realism too. There was trash in there.
Oh. Hopefully there wasn't one of those you put a penny in the machine, you get those hot plastic molds at the zoo. Yeah, you get those hot plastic molds.
Sexy plastic molds.
You beat off to those plastic molds. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
I'm familiar with that machine where you put in a penny and it like distorts it.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
Flattens it.
Have you ever been to Brookfield Zoo?
Mm-mm.
Damn, dude. They got this machine where you put in it's probably more than a penny, but at this point, and it spits out a hot plastic mold.
Of what?
Of various animals. So if you're let's say you're at the polar bear enclosure, you put in the money and then you can see the hot plastic moving through the machine.
Oh, so it's not the mold, it's the molds inside the machine.
Yeah.
You get a
statue.
A recently not molten plastic.
Okay, I should specify. You get a plastic statue.
Yeah.
Of a polar bear.
Okay.
Or whatever.
I've never seen this machine.
Oh, wow. Okay, never mind. You're missing out. Step up your game, fucking Ohio zoos.
We had those machines where you could.
I've had the distorted penny machine.
Yeah.
That's a neat machine.
It's kind of a waste of a penny.
If you're a fucking dweeb.
Yeah. It's like, oh.
Collect pennies.
It's like, oh, I put my penny in this machine. All it did was make it not usable for anything. It's like, I might as well take this $1 bill and put it into this paper shredder. It's the same principle.
You ever put pennies on the railroad tracks?
Mm-mm.
You never did that?
Not for me. Too much, too risky.
Why?
I don't want to be near that fast-moving train.
You just put the pennies down, you come back later.
Not for me.
We used to do that. I never actually...
I learned to have a proper reverent fear of railroad tracks.
I never did it myself, but I had a friend who would do it for me. He was like a fence. He's like, hey, you want flattened pennies? I know a guy.
I'll get you some flattened pennies.
Get you some flattened pennies. So we would give him pennies, and then the next, a couple days later, he'd come back. The fucking flattened pennies.
Coming up on a future episode of Mr. Bunker's Conspiracy Time podcast. What was that guy doing with those pennies? Was it actually the railroad?
I don't know. It could have been. It's true. I thought it was cool as hell.
Why were you disparaging to me for not going up and doing it? You didn't do it either.
I didn't have access to it.
Yeah, wait.
You did. You grew up in fucking the middle of nowhere.
You just contracted this out.
Yeah. I'm a business guy.
You made so much money on those pennies.
Dumb as hell.
All I had were all these pennies. Meanwhile, you were getting rich. Your flat pennies.
I could double the price of your dumbass penny by selling a cool flattened penny.
Look, you like those? You like pennies, huh? I got this flat penny. I'll give it to you for 2 pennies.
Exactly. Well, Andy, I'm here too.
Yeah, what happened to you?
Mine was not as elaborate as yours, but I've taken a lot of rideshare services, whether you're an Uber or a Lyft. I've taken quite a few. And I ordered one on Sunday to go run some errands.
An Uber or a Lyft?
An Uber, and the car pulls up just as normal. You know, and it didn't say anything. It just said, like, you know, my driver's name, their license plate, the car color, etc. Had a picture of a guy. His name was Gregory. He seemed like a really nice, normal dude. You know, when it comes to Uber, I'm always looking for an Uber driver who will not talk to me.
That's established, yeah.
This guy looked like he was normal. Maybe he would like to converse, maybe not, whatever. So I go out to the car. I open the door. I always swing around to the right side of the car. So I'm on the passenger seat side. Because why would I sit right behind the driver? That's a little weird. And also they tend to move the passenger seat up so that whoever is sitting on the right side has more room.
I just get in.
Oh, you just get in?
Whatever side I'm on, I just get in. If I want to slide, I'll slide.
Oh, I might slide over, like if the right side is indirect.
But I don't
traffic.
slide most of the time.
Oh,
if I get in,
you sit behind
and
him.
I'm behind him, I'll just be right behind him.
I feel like that's weird.
I don't care.
Okay.
It's not weird for me. So.
To each his own. And I get in the car, and without really looking up, you know, this voice just kind of says, like, "Hey, are you Arthur?" I go, "Yep, that's me." He's like, "Your destination is the bunker?" And I was like, fuck.
Oh, no.
Car doors lock.
Oh, no.
Andy, there's no driver in this car. The car is Mr. Bunker. He was a car.
What?
I don't know how.
So wait, the guy was part of the costume?
There was no
driver?
guy. There was no driver.
Oh, you got into a driverless car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he might have been hiding in one of the seats.
We've each been captured by a driverless car now.
That's true. That's true. You got captured by a driverless car.
By a Domino's pizza delivery
That's right.
driverless car.
It must be the same car.
Yeah. Well, same costume.
Right. He must repurpose it. So there you go. That adds to the titular bunker's lore a little bit, is that he recycles some of these ideas.
I'm a little disappointed in him, to be honest with you.
Really?
I expect a little more creativity out of him.
Well, I mean, he had to go and get you from the zoo, so maybe he just didn't have enough time.
You know, if he didn't abduct me every week, he wouldn't have to go so far flung. Again, just make some arrangements with me.
Well,
I'll stay at home.
He really doesn't want to budge on that.
You can impersonate my washing machine or something. And I fall into your big open mouth.
Don't give him any ideas.
Who knows? Maybe he'll adopt that one in the future.
Maybe.
Stay tuned, listeners.
Speaking of adoption. Andy, today's topic that we are to discuss involves children.
Children.
And children are one of the many things in life you can adopt.
That's very true.
You can adopt a pet. You can adopt a child.
You can adopt a highway.
And you can adopt a highway. Those are the three. That's it.
That's the only things you can adopt.
That's it. Oh, you can adopt a star, I guess, too. Is that adoption, or is that more of naming it after yourself?
I think that's just egoism.
Oh, geez.
You can adopt a new plan of action.
Okay.
You can adopt a religious philosophy.
Well, now you're just using the verb.
Okay.
You're using it as a verb rather than
a verb.
A verb. The idea of taking something now belongs to you.
Yes. Now the highway belongs to me.
Isn't that how it goes?
This child belongs to me.
That's not how it goes? You don't get the highway. It's actually, they just kind of like put your name on it, and then you're like
you're responsible for cleaning it up.
Yeah, you're just required for cleaning it. Yeah.
Which is a lot like adopting a child. You put your name on it, and now you're responsible for cleaning it.
Andy, today we are tasked with discussing the phenomenon known as black-eyed children.
Or
black-eyed kids.
Or
BEKs. BEKs.
I like saying BEKs.
Yeah, great musician.
Because we've got one turntable and 2 microphones.
That's right. I'm a loser, baby. Anyway, Andy, did you know anything about Black-Eyed Kids before we started diving into this subject?
I barely knew anything about the Black-Eyed Peas before we started diving into this subject.
I've heard of Black-Eyed Kids. Wait, I fucked that up. I've heard of Black-Eyed Peas, but Black-Eyed Kids?
Yikes! No, I didn't know anything about this before this dropped from the sky with old Mr. B.
That's right.
Yeah, I was shall we say blissfully unaware.
That's right. I think I'd heard the term, but I didn't know all the details.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's kind of in the name. Black-Eyed Kids. Sorry, I burped. They're about children with
black eyes.
Pitch black eyes. And we'll get into whether they are agents of good or agents of evil. And we'll get into some of the stories surrounding these Black-Eyed Kids, these BEKs. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Not as much conspiracy, a little bit just more strange paranormal phenomena.
This is like a paranormal phenomenon. I mean,
but still
Bunker wants us. I mean,
he's convinced. I mean, he's said
convinced
that he has been visited by multiple BEKs.
Right.
And they frequently, he says that they're, instead of trying to come in, they're always trying to get items out of his backyard.
Right.
Which I kind of interpret as he's kind of one of these old guys who, the neighborhood kids frisbee goes in their yard.
Right.
He's not going to give it back.
No. They've got no shot.
But he's convinced
he's not going to let anybody on his property like that for sure.
Yeah. So he says he's been visited by multiple BEKs, but whether that's to be confirmed.
I think he's been drinking multiple BEKs, you know what I mean?
That's right. Well, Andy, let's not waste any more time.
Let's go, and today's enchilada is filled with Black-Eyed Peas.
That's right. This is Black-Eyed Kids.
Art, let's set the scene for the listeners, shall we? You're home alone. It's getting pretty late. You're watching some TV to unwind before bed. The lights are low, and everything is quiet. Your faithful dog or cat cuddles with you on the couch. Suddenly, you hear a knock at the door.
That's odd. You think to yourself. You decide to ignore the knock. Maybe it's just the wind. Then, you hear another knock. You notice your pet has left the room and not anywhere near the door. Something about this knock fills you with unease. In spite of your hesitation, you creep quietly to the door.
The fear rises inside you. You dread looking through the peephole for some reason, but you look anyway. At your door are 2 children. They're dressed in outdated clothes and looking down at the ground. One of them speaks. "Can we come in?" A rush of terror floods your body. Who are these kids, and what do they want? Do you dare to open the door?
You muster all your courage and open the door slightly. The child speaks again. "Can we come in?" You ask the children where their parents are. "We're lost. Can we come in and use your bathroom?" The child asks. As you ready your body to close the door, the children look up at you.
You are now racked with primal terror. There, staring back at you, are 4 deep black orbs. These children don't have eyes. They have pools of darkness where their eyes should be. You shut the door as quickly as you can. You lock the door. You retreat into the interior of your home for the remainder of the sleepless night. You hear a few more knocks, and then nothing. You'll never know just who these kids were or what exactly they wanted with you. The only thing you know for certain is that you're glad you didn't let them in.
What we just described for you, listeners, is a typical encounter with black-eyed children, or black-eyed kids, or BEKs. Most BEK stories follow a similar pattern to the story that we just told. Some children show up at your door or at your car, and they ask to be let in. The children have completely black eyes. We're talking no whites in the eyes or anywhere here. And the person seeing them is pretty terrified of the experience. BEK stories have been on the internet for a while, but what's the origin?
Wow. Great question, Art. I'm super glad that you asked. The modern BEK phenomenon seems to start in the heart of the 90s, 1996. Yes, 96, Art, the summer of love. I was blossoming into a preteen, and cultural touchstone Everybody Loves Raymond debuted on TVs across America. It was a heady time to be alive. Meanwhile, in Abilene, Texas, journalist Brian Bethel was busy being visited by BEKs.
For you nostalgia fans out there, Bethel's story begins one night while driving to his internet provider's office to pay his bill. This was, after all, 1996. He parked his car near a movie theater so he could use the lights from the marquee to write a check. While filling out the check, he heard a knock on the window. He looked up to see two boys standing at his window. He noticed that both of the boys had completely black eyes. Bethel reports feeling immediate terror. The boys asked for a ride to their mom's house to get money to see a movie. Bethel started to drive away, and one of the boys shouted back at him that they could only come in if Bethel let them in. But as he drove away, Bethel glanced back at the boys, but they had completely vanished.
So Bethel's encounter is seen by a lot of folks as the template, if you will, for most BEK stories. Bethel himself acknowledges that some people have used this story to make up their own BEK encounter. And when I say make up, I mean fabricate.
Right.
But he definitely experienced something unnerving that night in 1996. He also believes that other people continue to have run-ins with BEKs. David Weatherly, author of the book on black-eyed children, called Black-Eyed Children, does find evidence, though, of BEKs that predate Bethel's story.
One such account comes from 1974 in France. Two men are driving through a small village when they drove by a house where 5 small figures were present. The men thought the scene was unusual, and so they stopped the car to take a closer look. They saw 3 beings huddled together, one tracing the outside of the house with its hands, and one looking right at the men. The men reported that all the figures were short, dressed alike, and had long hair to their waists, and all had completely black eyes. The beings watched the men, gestured for them to come closer. The men got scared and drove away. When they came back later, the beings were gone without a trace.
Okay, so there are weird stories about kids with black eyes from a variety of times. If these creatures are persistent, what do they want? Well, nobody is really quite sure. There's a lot of speculation on this topic. Maybe they want to hurt us. Maybe they want to eat our flesh. Maybe they just need a fourth to join a bowling league. I don't know. Brian Bethel, though, believes that the BEKs are after the human soul. He doesn't know what they want to do with it, but he thinks they desire it for some purpose. But let me ask you this, Art. How would the BEKs go about acquiring such a thing as your soul?
Well, the technical aspects of soul stealing aren't well defined, Andy.
Shocking.
The general rule with BEKs seems to be that they can't do anything to you unless you let them in. Once you let the BEKs inside your home or your car, you're at their mercy. So it's said. There are some stories, though, of BEKs exhibiting more aggressive behavior. Like one case is that of a man who saw 2 BEKs asking to use the phone at a house across the street from his house. He watched the BEKs as he began walking to the corner store. The BEKs followed him and waited outside the store. The clerk at the store had apparently seen some shit and refused to let them in.
Then, when the man and the clerk tried to leave the store through the back entrance, the BEKs were there waiting for them. The two men got into a scuffle with the BEKs, narrowly escaping. The clerk ran away to parts unknown, and the man fled back to his house, where the BEKs lingered outside for a while. The next day, the man went back to the store to thank the clerk, only to find that the clerk quit his job and was moving out of town.
While most people report feeling extreme terror when BEKs show up, that's not always true. And if you're not afraid of the BEKs, are you more likely to let them in? Consider one instance where a man let a BEK into his home and lived to tell the tale. User I Smacka You Face posted on Reddit that after a business meeting in his home, he immediately got a knock on the door. He did not report feeling afraid and so immediately opened the door. A young boy was standing on his porch while an older boy tossed a football in the yard. The boy asked to come in and Smacka agreed. The kid came in and asked to see OP's cats. No word on how this kid knew Smacka had cats. The kid looked around the house and in the backyard. Smacka noticed that the boy had completely black eyes. The kid in the yard did not have black eyes. The BEK asked to see one of Smacka's kids' toys, which was allowed. Then the boys left. Turns out the football-tossing kid lives up the street from Smacka. The BEK, meanwhile, has yet to be seen again.
One thing to consider also is that BEKs may appear threatening, but actually aren't. Some people believe that BEKs are attracted to certain people only. There is some speculation online about how to attract a BEK, if you really want to meet one, but some people believe that BEKs are sent to people to help return them to faith. Some have posited that most BEK stories involve someone who has turned away from their faith and then after their encounter with the BEK, they return to the flock, so to speak.
So basically, BEK hypotheses run the gamut from soul-destroying to soul-saving, from aggressive attacks and stalking to polite requests for admission. While we don't know much truly about what the BEKs are or what they want with humanity, I know one thing. If I get a knock on the door late at night, I'm just going to ignore it. Mr. Bunker's Conspiracy Time podcast will be right back after this brief message.
Ooh, it sure is chilly outside, Art.
Andy, where's your jacket?
Art, did you hear me? The wind chill is 30 below.
Andy, I think you have hypothermia.
You know, Art, with the horrific chilly weather outside, the only thing that'll warm me up is listening to Andy and Art Debunked, available only on patreon.com/MrBunkerPod.
Are you seriously shilling our Patreon right now?
Oh, Art. Laughing at the antics of Andy and Art is all the warmth I need. And for just $5 a month, I get access to all the episodes of the show, behind-the-scenes updates, sneak peeks at episodes, and I can chat with Andy and Art on the Bunker Discord.
Andy, we need to get you to a hospital.
We need to get me to patreon.com/MrBunkerPod. It's so chilly. Oh, God. I'm chilled to the bone.
Hey, everybody. We are back. That was our research. That was our storytelling of black-eyed kids, BEKs, BEKs, as I like to call them.
Right.
Andy, let's give a general overview here of what we got going on.
You know, Art, I think that storytelling is probably a right term to use in this case. Because I think that the BEK phenomenon, even as it exists throughout history, is mainly one of collected stories, I guess is how I'll say it. It's more about anecdote than it is about any
there's no
real physical evidence or anything that could be, nothing that could be, you could put nothing tangible.
Even most alien conspiracies have some kind of weird photograph. Or something.
Yeah, some element of physical evidence. There is one that David Weatherly points out. There's an old statue.
Excuse me, sorry, listeners.
There's an old statue that was crafted with 2 eyes that are made completely of obsidian. Ooh. So it's like 2 black eyes. And he sees that as kind of being like evidence that these are people who look at the statue, they apparently report feeling some unease at seeing the statue. And so Weatherly kind of suggests that, hey, this probably means that these creatures have been visiting humans for a long time.
Huh.
And, the fact that people feel uneasy at the statue explains why people feel is transmitted. That feeling is the same feeling people have when faced with an encounter in the real world with one of these BEKs.
It's spooky, but
yeah,
the way that their logic seems to work is that you just say no.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, if you say no, you not come in my house. You stay outside. You are an outside BEK. Then
just go away.
They can't do anything.
I like how they're wearing outdated clothing too.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's kind of a weird.
It's a weird part of the thing but that seems to be honestly something that's sort of common in the stories. Like even that one from the 70s in France, which is a little bit different than what we tend to see today globally. But the kids those beings were wearing like odd garments that went almost to the ground.
Have you ever seen The Grudge?
No.
You ever seen that movie? I didn't either. I don't like scary movies. This is a spooky. I don't like this story.
You don't like to be scared.
I don't.
I'll tell you one thing.
You, on the other hand, you love to fucking scare. You relish this shit.
What, being scared?
Oh, scaring people. You relish it.
Oh, I like to scare people. I don't like being scared though.
Yeah.
But I don't get scared very often.
No.
I get scared by like real things.
Like paying debts.
Yeah. That's horrifying. Well, no, paying debts is fun.
Having to pay the debt. I don't know what I mean.
Yeah. Obligations are horrifying.
Yes.
I'll tell you one thing. Here's what really scares me is a home invasion.
Yes. We've discussed this before.
That's probably my biggest fear.
Your biggest fear is home invasion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your biggest fear?
Home invasion is a big one.
Yeah.
Obviously I live in a home. I live in a home for
which is a nice benefit for me that I don't live in a home.
You live in a dumpster.
Yeah. I float above the city on a cloud.
You're like a Kirby.
Yeah.
You're the modern day Kirby man, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're a Kirby looking human.
I'm a big fat pink guy that sucks. I'm a Kirby.
Hey, Kirby's got cool powers.
Hey, Kirby your enthusiasm.
No, I live in a nursing home. So home invasion is a scary. I was talking about it with some friends actually.
Mm-hmm.
He was telling me.
Wait, you have friends that aren't me?
Yes. They all live on the internet. None of them are real.
Okay. Bots.
Checks out.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
They're bots, ones and zeros. I communicate with Cleverbot. I'm on AIM. Still talking to Cleverbot, my best friend.
Great conversations. We've had a lot of fun.
No, he was telling me about some home invasion things that happened to him but this was a lot of someone they knew. So it was like someone he knew or like his roommate's brother who had drug addiction issues.
Right.
Breaks into the house, steals all the stuff, pawns it, etc.
Yeah.
We have a mutual friend who experienced a home invasion that we
arrived on the scene immediately after.
Immediately after, that's right.
Yeah.
Our friend can attest to this. Our friend Skylar can attest to this, that there could not be two worse people to have arrive at the scene of what is one of the worst days you can have than us.
Yeah, in this situation, just to set the scene for the listeners, he was in his he shared an apartment with 2 other people,
That's right.
and he was in his room. He had the door closed, and he was
And the lights were off in the whole apartment.
right, and he was FaceTiming, and some
Masturbating.
yeah, right. I'm trying to be polite, but there's no reason to protect his reputation. So he's masturbating, and somebody breaks into the back door,
Right.
and then goes into one of his other roommates' rooms. Neither of the other roommates were home at the time.
Yeah.
And like makes off with a bunch of stuff. And he comes out to find that the back door's been pried open and all this stuff. And he heard it, but he didn't know what it was. And
He just figured it might have been one of his roommates coming home
Right.
early and they were putzing around in the kitchen or something, you know.
and he was in a state where he didn't want to get up and find out what it was. Cause
Right.
I mean, he didn't want to take the chance of coming on somebody.
Yeah, he had to.
So
Although that would have been great defense.
that's,
against
yeah,
home
the Spider-Man defense.
invasion. Yeah, that's right.
Then he can't go anywhere. He's stuck to the wall.
Jeez. Now, let's also set the scene a little bit here. The locks on the back of his door were like easy locks to break. He didn't have like a new deadbolt.
Right.
These were old school. If I remember correctly, it's what was it?
There was a chain.
It was like a chain latch.
Yeah.
It was not a very strong back door.
And I think that they broke the door off the hinges, so
Yeah.
it probably wasn't that securely
And-
fastened anyway.
This was in an area that there had been known break-ins.
There was a string of break-ins.
They were
at the
casing
time.
different places. His place had been broken into before.
Yeah, he lived on the ground floor.
The first floor, that's right. So I think, just to kind of set the listener's scene here a little bit, but
So imagine that happens to you, and then the 2 of us show up.
God,
It's probably it went from being a bad day to being the worst day of your life.
That's right. We immediately assume the roles of goofy detectives.
Right. We looked for clues.
We were looking for clues.
Found a lot of DNA evidence.
Oh yeah, we took out a blacklight and we're like, oh, there's stains everywhere. Anyway, so I think it is a very natural fear
Yeah,
to have.
it can
and
happen.
It is scary. Yeah. No, I have methods that I use to protect myself from it. You can get an alarm system. You can get camera systems.
You learned the art of airbending.
I'm an avatar. I'm able to bend all the elements to my will. So unfortunately, I have to get this fucking arrow tattooed on my head. Jeez.
Yeah, Honda does not like you. You bend all the elements to your will. That's why they discontinued it.
That's right. And I kept calling it a fucking Pop-Tart box.
They did not like that.
Why are you making Pop-Tart boxes into cars? Crush it. I don't like this story though. This is spooky.
Yeah,
I don't like it. And then you know me, I could never live out in the country.
sure.
It just spooks me. You grew up in the country. You grew up in rural Ohio.
Oh yeah. It's I mean, I don't know why people think that rural areas are so much more scary than the city. When
Guess
I
that's a
was
good point.
when I was growing up, we didn't even lock our doors during the day.
That's so fucking crazy.
Like my parents would go to work and I would go to school. My sister would go to school. The house would be unlocked all day. And nothing ever happened.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Why?
I think creepy, weird stuff happens out in the country a lot.
Go ahead.
Like creepy killers and serial killers and fucking rural hobos.
Yeah, I think that I mean, yeah, I mean, it happens, but
Don't you feel unsafe
Does it happen at a higher rate?
knowing
though?
that your closest neighbors are like 5 miles away?
Oh, they weren't that far away. There was people right across the street from us.
You told me you lived on like a huge, like your closest neighbors were far away.
No, they lived right across the street. We didn't, and we had people nearby. I mean, it's not like so close that you could maybe keep an eye on things, but it's hard to tell sometimes whether anything's happening or not.
I mean, I guess you're right. The city has a lot more crime than the countryside, and it's more densely populated. So You know, I when I lived in an apartment, yeah, I remember like you just sometimes it had like drunk people just wander into your building. People will wander into your building. They'll just buzz the thing and pretend to be UPS or whatever. And you don't know, like if you're on the 3rd floor, you can't see who's trying to get in.
Yeah.
You just fucking buzz it and you open and you let them in. You don't know.
Yeah.
I remember like this weird drunk guy just banging on my door. Or like, he wasn't banging on the door. He was like trying to put a key into the door to enter.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is that noise? And I walk over and I look out the peephole. I see this guy trying to get in. And I'm like, oh, fuck. It's happening. It's happening.
It's happening. I ate the bones.
I ate the bones. And you think that your response would be something cool or like you do something. And I was just like, what are you doing?
That's the response. Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, sorry. Wrong place. And then just left. I was like, what the fuck?
There was recently like a whole wave of break-ins in the South Loop.
Oh, really?
Like somebody left the door ajar at the building and the guy got in and he just like started going into different floors and checking for unlocked doors. And then when the doors were unlocked, he just went in.
Jeez. That's fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, I heard a comedian once, I think it was Ron Irvin, say that crimes in the city are crimes of necessity and crimes in the suburbs or in the country are like just real messed up stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's like there'll be muggings and stuff in the city, but it's like serial killers are in the suburbs.
That's right. That's true.
In the country.
That's true. He's got you there.
But I mean, there were no serial killers near me.
Yeah,
well, I guess
you
there was
were
one.
the serial killer.
I guess there was one.
You. Oh no, Andy's making eyes at me.
But it wasn't. I mean, that's not like it's not like every week we're gripped by terror because there's another serial killer on the loose. Like, oh, they got the last guy, and now there's a new one.
A new guy to fill his place.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Revolving door of serial killers.
Hi, folks. I'm just knocking on your door here. I'm the new serial killer in town.
I just moved in across the street.
Just moved in. I'm gonna be, you're gonna hear some stuff, but
look, if you could not call the police, I would appreciate it. It honestly, I have a lot going on, and that would just really help me out.
But spooky stories like this kind of play tricks on my mind and play tricks on my head.
This is a useful vein of discussion, I think.
Yeah.
Because, okay, I know, all right, what I want to say is that I know that Mr. Bunker believes in the BEKs. He thinks he's been visited.
Oh, yeah.
He wants us to get to the bottom of what their purpose is.
Right.
I kind of want to say to you, is it even real?
I mean,
do BEKs exist?
Does the Yeti exist? Does the aliens exist? Do Mothman exist? Does the Chicago kangaroo exist? The chupacabra exist? Does the fucking G-spot exist? You know what I'm saying? Come on.
Where is the clitoris? Right. I don't think that it's exactly the same, but it's the same principle, right? There's limited evidence outside of anecdotes.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, when we get to our reviews, don't be shocked when I give something on the lower end of my scale.
Okay, I won't be. Okay. I don't want to spoil it.
I'll put it that way.
But, okay.
This stuff scares me. I'm a superstitious person.
That's right. You are.
It creeps me out, but I don't necessarily think that it's real. And if there is something weird and supernatural happening, I like to think that I'm protected.
Based on what?
Based on that there are probably angels that protect me.
Oh, okay.
I think that I'm named after my grandfather, who is dead. He died falling out of a tree, mind you, which, let's be honest, kind of a cool way to die.
One of my neighbors in the country died because a tree crushed him.
It's sad, but sure is different. I mean, you know.
Yep. If you really go for that unique death.
Timber! Oh, wow.
That's what he was doing. He was out cutting. He was like,
you have to be so fucking careful cutting trees.
They were cutting trees down, and
it's like rule 101 of a tree.
Yeah, the tree went the wrong way and crushed him.
They teach you that in Boy Scouts, how to use a hatchet correctly to chop a tree. But my grandfather was up in a tree cutting branches, and then he fell out. At least that's what they tell me. More on that later.
On a future episode of Mr.
But I was very young, and I'm named after him.
Right.
And so I feel like I have this weird spiritual connection to him, and that his aura protects me at all times from both the supernatural and the physical. Because I've had many a close encounter, especially while driving. Listeners, I haven't driven a car in 6 years. But I've had a couple close calls, especially in high school, where it was like time slowed down, and I was like, oh, wow, cool, we might almost crash. And something happens that we don't. Everything falls into place. Now, obviously, you would say that this is, listeners, Andy is fucking kissing the microphone. He's like making weird things with the microphone. Bunker is not going to be happy, Andy. Quit kissing the microphones.
I'll kiss the microphone if I want.
He keeps finding your lips all over the place.
I wear so much lipstick.
But I don't know. I feel like a weird spiritual connection to that. And so I feel like the BEKs can't touch me.
Well, yeah. I'm going to tread lightly here.
Why?
Okay, well, first of all, you're dumb. No. Yeah, it's the same thing though. You've had some experiences that give you a feeling of something.
I've never been approached by any supernatural entity though.
Right, but you have this feeling that you have some spiritual connection with your grandfather that's helping protect you.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more of a comfort thing.
Yeah.
Like you just kind of know. Like, you know how you say someone up there is watching over you?
Yeah, I think that we tell ourselves a lot of things to help either justify things that happen to us that we don't understand,
right,
or to help comfort us in times when there's difficult situations.
Right.
Rather than accepting that, you know, life is just chaos and
a
bunch of just random things happen all at any time.
Sure, and simulated.
Right. This is all planned out for you. Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're right.
So I guess, you know, where I'm going with this in relation to the black-eyed kids is, you know, people are obviously having experiences, but they're letting their own fear dictate the outcome.
Right.
Because they didn't investigate it.
Right.
You know, obviously there are some of these accounts, and I mean, who knows the veracity of any account you read.
Yeah,
online.
or the velociraptor.
Right. I don't know a velociraptor. If you know a velociraptor, let us know.
Yeah.
Tweet at us. But like, here's the thing. They had some, you know, I won't question anybody's experience.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not going to say like, oh, if you believe you had an experience, then you had some kind of experience, but I might question the actual outcome of that experience, or question the source of the experience.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So a lot of these, I just kind of wonder if it's not, maybe it's like a sleep paralysis thing.
Right.
You've of course heard about sleep paralysis.
It's spooky.
It's spooky. And
if you attempt to teach yourself to lucid dream, what a lot of people frequently experience are both auditory hallucinations,
right,
of strange and eerie sounds, but a lot of people also witness a black-eyed, raven-looking old woman,
right,
or older creature that stands at the foot of your bed and beckons you, or is just kind of standing there. And this is part of the experience in learning how to lucid dream, is to control your fear and control your emotions and get past it and understand that it's not real.
Right.
so that you can understand that you're in a dream.
Yeah, and
I know people who have experienced that because they've attempted to lucid dream.
and from like being aware of this, that in Japan, for example, an old crone at the foot of your bed is way more common than it is in the United States. A lot of people
Right.
in the United States experience sleep paralysis as an alien abduction.
Right.
And, science kind of posits that there's a cultural connection to what you experience when you're experiencing sleep paralysis.
Yeah, aliens are a part of our general zeitgeist and our
Right.
our background.
Right. And
Roswell is the main thing for us
So
as Americans.
I guess what I'm thinking is maybe people have kids coming to their door late at night and it's a legitimate thing,
Right.
and they heap this fear on it. Or who knows?
Yeah.
With contacts today, it could just be people goofing.
People like to goof.
At this point, it could be just
Straight goofing.
straight goofing.
I mean, like, let's be honest. Like, our brains play tricks on our eyes all the time.
Yeah.
It's late at night. You probably, you ever like fall asleep on the couch and then you wake up and it feels like you haven't been asleep that long, but you have,
Mm-hmm.
or it's real late at night and you're like, oh my
Mhm.
God, I felt like, and you're like in this kind of daze.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that happens. We don't know
Yeah.
anything. I need all the extra information about these people. Is there anything in your past trauma involving children?
Right.
Is there anything in your past about other traumas, other illnesses,
Mm-hmm.
things that would cloud your judgment reasonably? What was the situation like? What was the lighting like? Because we've already discussed that if it's late at night and this is happening, like I'm looking at you right now across from me at this table, and you have black, soulless, dead eyes of a killer. It looks like I'm staring in the eyes of a fucking crocodile. Like you look.
Some ancient dinosaur of death
Yeah, that's what you look like.
who shouldn't be alive now.
You look like a troll doll come to life. Your crazy giant green hair that's up in a spike in your bare butt
My completely
and your smooth genitalia.
my completely nude body and the gemstone inserted into my belly button, which is necessary because I never fully healed after my umbilical cord fell off.
That's what you look like. So if I saw you late at night standing outside my door, yeah, you'd look like a black-eyed freak. And I wouldn't let you in, you freak. Say, get the fuck out of here.
You fucking freak.
Yeah, I wouldn't let, why would you ever let a random child into your house? That's fucking weird.
I don't know. Part of me, as a parent says, I might have some compassion on a child, but
I don't.
But the thing that, a lot of people don't get past some real preliminary questions. People will say, where are your parents? And the kids say, we're lost. We need to come in. Or
Every kid nowadays has a cell phone. I don't buy it.
Yeah, we need to use your phone.
Nope.
And there was one story I read where a woman told the kids, give me your mom's phone number and I'll call her for you. I'll go get my phone. You stay here. Give me her phone number. I'll call them. And
Smart parent.
And they said, we need to come in and use the bathroom. So it's like this
Hell no.
this dodgy thing.
Fucking
And,
piss on the grass.
it's like, I mean, I don't know. It's there's a legitimate medical condition.
See, I'm hearing these questions, and if you're a fucking hardcore skeptic and you're somebody who reads people a little bit more, and we've done a lot of acting, there's subtext to everything. What they're asking constantly is you can see the motive. They want to get inside.
Right.
You have these people who keep pushing a narrative that they need something in a specific way. Or, like how people busking out on the street, panhandling or whatever. It's very specific sometimes the way that they want change or money,
Yeah.
right? There's a reason. And there's a reason why these people want to get into your house.
Right.
'Cause they want to get into your house.
Right.
Um,
Well, I'll say this though. There is a legit medical condition called aniridia, where it's the absence of the iris. So the pupil,
sounds like a Dream Theater album.
the absence of the iris. Yeah. Came out,
John Petrucci on the phone.
came out right after live at Budokan. So the iris, the pupil overtakes the iris. So
Okay.
the iris is the part that has color.
Is that what you have?
Yeah, that's why I have just huge pupils.
Okay.
And in some cases it can almost look like it's the entire eye.
That's creepy.
So some people legitimately could have black eyes. It's their pupil fills the whole eye.
Right.
So there's that. It makes me wonder how many of these circumstances was it like a child with a medical condition that came to the door and just legitimately needed some help or something, or for a completely innocuous purpose, and somebody was just like, get out of here. I'm not, you know?
Yeah, we don't know anything about these people telling the stories because they're so anecdotal. Like, we don't know anything about their background.
Right. That's true.
Like I said, things that what has happened to them. Because I think that always tells you a lot about people.
Yeah. And we have a links in the thing are going to be to a lot of stories because this is like pretty much how it is with this. There are some stories though of these BEKs being more aggressive, like we mentioned.
That's spooky.
Or people have encounters with people who are with beings that seem BEK-like, but don't act like what Brian Bethel described.
Right.
Where it's like, I read a story about someone who was at a rest stop in Nevada late at night, and he pulled the car over to take a nap because he was getting, drowsy driving.
Right.
And he wakes up and there's 3 people with a pickup truck, and the pickup truck has a spotlight, and the spotlight's trained on the car. And one of the guys asked him to let him into the car, and he doesn't do it, and he flashes a pocket knife, and the guy gets mad and like screams in rage and then starts rocking the car back and forth from the side, like lifting it off the ground and stuff. Yeah. And then the guy starts driving away, and another guy gets off the truck and starts running along beside the car. And the account says that it was up to 50 miles an hour until he like hit the highway. But it's like, I mean, those circumstances are so, and then the truck didn't tail him or anything. So, he's like, well, was it kids just trying to have some fun at my expense? But it's like, I don't know, a kid, just any kid running 50 miles an hour is like, I don't know, that
your adrenaline is pumping. Maybe your eyes are playing tricks on you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like, he had an experience. Okay. Something happened at that rest stop when he woke up, but what was it?
Allegedly happened.
Right. I mean,
we'll treat it as factual or as true.
Well,
just for the sake of argument.
Genuine account.
Yes.
Yeah. For the sake of argument.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of these are happening late at night too. That's the thing. Is like you're not seeing them during the day where there's other people out and about.
Yeah.
Or something. Tell you what though, Andy. That's why you got to keep holy water in your fridge. My Zia and my Nona, my grandma.
Yeah.
There's always holy water in the fridge.
And have they ever been visited by BEKs?
Nope.
You heard it here first, folks.
You gotta also, that water, very tasty. Pretty sure I drank it once or twice. As you're a little kid and you want to fucking...
Did they have a priest come to the house?
No, I think you can get those at like a church.
Just packets of it.
Probably sell them. It's blessed water. It's like the water when you enter the Catholic and you fucking sprinkle you do a little cross over your face when you enter the church.
Sure.
Don't you feel like though that there's weird? Don't you get kind of like spiritual kind of weird? I mean, you're a very anti-spiritual guy. I mean, earlier I've caught you masturbating to Richard Dawkins books before.
Yeah, not his pictures.
Yeah, not his pictures.
Just the written words.
And you wear your little fedora and you like to say things like "checkmate, Christians."
And I've grown out my neck beard considerably.
Right. That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, you know what I mean. I'm very superstitious, and that's probably due to my church upbringing.
I'm skeptical of everything.
But
like
you're skeptical of
superstition.
everything.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that I get a weird feeling. Like, I feel like there is this weird power to these ancient beliefs, whether you agree with them or not. But that's probably, I recognize that it's due probably in part to my upbringing, and that, brought up in private Christian schools where they teach you that this stuff is fucking important, and if you're bad, you're gonna get punished by this higher entity.
So do you think that because the belief systems are so long lasting that lends credence to it?
Maybe.
Like that if it was obviously not real, that it would have just fallen apart, like,
well, not just that. I just
like
think,
Zoroastrianism or something, like where it's not common anymore.
No, not necessarily that, but I think because if you asked a Zoroastrian, they would.
Yeah, those
say that
beliefs are
it's-
probably palpable.
Yeah, very palpable. No, I think of it as more of like honestly, more of a fucking like it's some kind of weird role-playing game. It's like, I don't know, like there's these forces of evil and these forces of good can destroy them.
Oh, you think it's like at the end of the day, the fabric of creation, the fabric of existence is fundamentally good or fundamentally evil, and then everything is just on somewhere on that spectrum.
Maybe a little bit. I just think it would be cool to like use holy water as like a grenade and
As a weapon.
blow up an evil black-eyed child who's trying to get into my house.
Well, what about the idea that they're on the side of religion,
That's weird, man.
that they are entities sent to help push people back toward their faith?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of creepy, but at the same time, doesn't the Bible and Revelation especially describe angels as like these fucking hideous, monstrous creatures that you can't even look at? Like, angels have to take the form of humans when they came down to visit Lot, because if you looked upon their real form, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, I guess personally, a whole lot about what an angel's supposed to look like, but they're definitely...
I'm looking at one right now. You're my angel.
Your angel lives in the centerfold. That's right, folks. I got trapped in a magazine.
Babe, you're my angel. You're my darling baby.
Just kiss my face before you leave me.
I think we're singing two different songs.
Oh.
I think I'm singing Sugar Ray.
I'm singing the other thing that uses the same melody.
Oh.
Wait, which song were you singing? The one about where...
'Cause you're my baby. You're my darling angel.
Yeah.
You give me hope when I'm in need.
I was singing that Angel of the Morning song.
No.
Did you ever hear that, speaking of conspiracy theories, did you ever hear that theory where that one Sugar Ray song was about, what's that guy's name? The Sugar Ray guy?
Mark McGrath.
Mark McGrath, thank you. I could get Mark, but not McGrath.
Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy. That song about how every morning, you remember that song?
Every morning when I wake up in the morning, there's something on my corner bed.
Yeah, that there's a theory floating around that's about Mark McGrath getting pegged.
Oh, okay.
So
that's cool, I guess.
Doesn't have anything to do with BEKs, but just
Right.
an aside there.
Well, has he ever confirmed that?
No,
Only he has that knowledge.
he hasn't specifically denied it.
Okay. That's fun.
Yeah.
Good for you. Well, it's like some Third Eye Blind songs are specifically about like, was it meth or heroin abuse? One of them.
Yeah, I can't remember.
And like everybody thinks it's like this fun pop song, but it's actually like,
yeah.
It's a sad song. Anyway, BEKs.
Anyway, BEK.
Religion.
Yeah.
But none of these people seem to be, I mean, I guess you don't really know, but
I think the most interesting aspect of the idea that the BEKs are pushing people back toward their faith is the person who suggested that they only seem to target certain individuals. And that seems to be true.
Yeah, like what kind of individuals are we talking here?
Yeah, that's the thing is what what people try to sort through. You know, there's some speculation that it's like the radio frequency that you think in or something like might attract them, or there's different things that you can do to bring a Bek to your place or to wherever you are. But I don't know. Somebody posted a story about how they live in this big like apartment complex, and there's they live in the middle. Like picture it in California where there's like a walkway and there's lots of different apartments,
Right.
you know? And that two kids came walking through the complex one night and they stopped at this guy's door and knocked and asked to come in to use the phone. And he didn't even open the door. The windows were open and he shouted, you know, through the door that wasn't going to happen. And they just left. But they didn't knock on the door on either side, or, you know, he could have heard them knocking on the door somewhere else, but they didn't.
Right.
So they came just to his door. But who knows?
Yeah.
What are the other circumstances, like you said?
Well, right. And then maybe it's like, maybe it's like, you'd be surprised at how often, like, I think people, when they think of like criminal acts or things like that, like just saying like the first time they get deterred, I feel like I'd wager a bet that they run away.
Yeah.
Like they're like, okay, well, this isn't happening.
It's one of those things, I think, where you build up your courage to even get to that point. And then if you get turned away, you kind of lose your mettle.
Right.
Like the moment's passed. You had a brief window.
Yeah.
Where you were going to do this, and that window's closed.
The plan is fucked up.
Yeah.
So it's time to flee.
Like
a lot of people don't
plan.
have the fucking like steel nerves of a special forces
of someone like me
or Andy,
who's
on par with most
rock
special
hard
forces.
and unshakable.
Oh, God. Oh,
just hard as hell and unable to move. Completely immobile.
Literally made of stone. Has lots of gout.
Yeah. My body's calcified. I'm made of calcium.
I don't know. I don't know if it would be this specific where it's like they're sending BEKs to your house.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people have come to faith moments when they experience, no pun intended, rock bottom, or, and that's not Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's ass, you fucking perv listeners. And it's not also Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson back when he was The Rock on WWE SmackDown with his finishing move, the rock bottom.
It's also not that chain of brewery restaurants. People, stop writing in and saying that to us.
Stop writing in general. We're not accepting letters. God.
Why do I get so much mail?
Get so much fucking mail. No, when they hit rock bottom, when they hit their lowest point in their life, they are in prison. They lose everything. Mm-hmm. They're addicted to drugs. They are in rehab, they're things like that.
Yeah.
One of the tenets of AA is to accept a higher power, right?
Right.
So,
and I
have a hard time believing that BEKs are a part of it.
Well, I think sometimes people, to what we talked about earlier, sometimes you have an experience because you feel like you need an experience.
Exactly.
There used to be
it needs to be this big, powerful experience, and yeah,
there used to be this show that was on cable about this
Captain Kangaroo.
Yes, thank you. This guy was I don't know how to describe him. He was, I don't know, he was an interesting character, but he was like a paranormal type of consultant almost, I guess, in this show. And what he did basically is he went around to people who were haunted and he helped them get unhaunted.
Right.
And he was like a person who, I don't know, was a skeptic, but he then came to accept that he had been being haunted all these years or whatever. And on one of these episodes, he told this person that they had too much chaos in their lives, that they had made a lot of bad choices that had led their life to be really chaotic, and that they needed to start making some decisions that brought order into their lives. Because he said that in this case, it was talking about ghosts, that ghosts feed off of the chaos. So people who get haunted a lot of times bring it on themselves.
Right.
And I'm not going to judge the merits of that philosophy right now, but I'm going to say, I think that sometimes we do make a situation for ourselves if we think that we need a situation like that.
Right.
So maybe some people feel like they need to have this experience, and they have that experience.
They're the type of person who, for whatever reason, and I'm not trying to shit on them, but they are like, oh, that's what's wrong with my life. Not all the shit decisions I make. I'm being haunted by a ghost.
Right.
And to exercise the ghost, I have to stop making shit decisions.
Right.
It's like this weird form of pseudotherapy.
Right.
It's kind of like we're big Nathan For You fans.
Yeah.
We're big fans of that show. There's an episode where he...
Ghost Realtor?
Yeah, I guess I want to say tricks, but I don't know what you would describe
Yeah.
Nathan's method.
I think the Ghost Realtor, though, is a good example.
A great example.
Because a lot of people start these stories off on Reddit or wherever you might read these BEKs encounter stories. It's like, I've always had supernatural experiences, but I never believed in this.
Right.
And I never believed in the supernatural. And it's like, to me, that's like kind of like the Ghost Realtor.
You have to, though.
That's like the Ghost Realtor where she's like, yeah, I had an experience with a ghost, but I don't really believe it. It's like, wait a minute.
God
you can't say, that's like me saying like, yeah, I drove my car here. I don't believe in cars. Like, that's not a thing that exists in this world. If you
accept that it's a ghost encounter, then you believe
in ghosts. You can't say you don't believe in it.
A skeptic or someone like us will say, well, I don't know.
I might say something like, somebody told me that room was haunted, but I don't believe in ghosts, so I don't accept that was a ghost.
Right.
There must be some other explanation for what I experienced. But if you believe in ghosts, you would say that happened because of a ghost.
Right.
Or the thing that happened to me was because of a BEK.
Yeah, I think ultimately, the ideas of these, I'm easily scared of things like this. I watched The Ring when I was 14 and I couldn't sleep for like 3 days. And then the way that I got out of it was I watched the original Japanese Ring, and it's a lot cheesier than the modern day one. Like, I think the animations were just worse.
Thank you.
And it just kind of made me laugh, and that's how I got over it. But I think in general, like, I don't buy into this stuff. I buy into the fact that it's like, ooh, it's spooky.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's scary.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a creepy idea.
Right.
But I mean, I've certainly never experienced anything close to this. I mean,
we've been on multiple ghost tours.
Yeah, I've never experienced a ghost. I've never felt like...
But they're spooky.
Sure, some of the stories people tell, but...
It's the ambiance.
Going into a ghost tour is one of those things that I don't know. It's like the stories of when stuff happens. It's always like, oh, I had to come here late at night when I'm not supposed to be here, and that's when this thing happened.
It's like you came here.
And it's like, well, I'm in the middle of the day, and there's a bunch of other people here with me. Like, what do I think is going to happen? Like,
that ghost has to be a real fucking idiot if it's going to come out
right
during the day. That's a dumbass ghost.
That's a dumb,
deserve to get caught.
Stupid ghost move, because we'll get you. Because I've always got my, ghost catching gun with me.
You've got a lot of ectoplasm on you at all times.
Yeah, always.
To lure ghosts.
Yeah, I'm dripping all the time, slimy with ectoplasm. To attract ghosts. And I've never had an experience.
I liken Andy to living cave moss.
I'm anthropomorphic cave moss. I'm a model. I'm cave moss.
Oh, God. Oh. Oh, God. Oh, no. Anyway. Yeah, I think we've kind of come full circle on this. I see them, though. I don't know. I see them as agents of evil. Why do they want to get in your house so bad? They want to take something from you. They want to strike fear in you. They're agents of evil.
Here's what Brian Bethel said, Art. He said that his opinion is that we have something that they don't possess, and they desperately want it.
In style clothing.
Right. They probably just want to raid your wardrobe. But he thinks it's the soul. Brian Bethel thinks it's the soul. So he thinks that these are soulless creatures that either want to hurt your soul or take your soul or consume your soul.
Wow, if we combine this with the simulation theory, that's a fun, you're getting into a fun Matrix-like universe there.
Right.
Where we are these simulated consciousnesses, and what are these? Are these bugs in the code trying to steal your consciousness so that they can become real?
Yeah.
And they can infect the real world outside of the simulation?
Yeah.
That's a fun idea. I like that. Like, I like feeding into I like just entertaining the ideas more than I think I actually ever would fucking believe in them.
Okay. Yeah.
They're fun to entertain.
You like to talk about it.
Yeah.
But you don't actually like want to base any belief systems on it.
No.
Yeah. So what's your verdict, Art? Let's get into the verdicts, shall we?
I mean, I can't deny that these people had some weird experience that led them to feel the need to post this on the internet somewhere. At the same time, I don't know enough information about these people. What are their motives? People always have ulterior motives.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know anything about these people's history, who they are, their mental state, where they were in their life at the time of encountering this, because that says a lot. It really does. So I'm gonna have to give it plausible smidge out of 10.
Wow.
Smidge. For listeners, I have my two fingers together.
His finger and his thumb are barely separated.
They're not separated at all. They're touching.
Oh,
like in a world's
it's like
smallest violin.
Like a micron.
Yes.
Of
smidge.
Over splodgeable.
Like what you would, like a pinch of salt.
Right.
Of
table salt, even.
Table salt. Very fine salt. Not sea salt.
Not even sea salt, not kosher salt.
Smidge. Possible smidge. Just because, I guess I don't have any proof, but we don't have proof for any of the things that we discuss.
So that's kind of the thing. Your plausible smidge on them existing, and then
or that these people, I guess, experience something, but
and if you assume that they,
I'm real close to case closed, Andy.
Whoa,
I'm real close.
Wow. But if
there's so many different tricks of the light.
If they do exist, though, you think 100% case closed.
I think they're
not benevolent.
I think they're agents of evil. Yes.
All right.
And they're gonna get holy water to the face.
They show up at your place.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Andy, what about you?
Well, let me say first. Let's assume that BEKs exist.
Okay.
I'm torn on their motive, good versus evil.
Okay, you're Natalie and Bruglia.
Yeah. There are plenty of stories of bad things happening, but I don't think the preponderance of stories is about them wanting in and then they don't get in and then they leave.
Right.
So it's difficult for me to tell what they want. I can't rely on people's terror telling me something innate about someone else. Because I've been scared a lot of times of things I shouldn't have been scared of.
Oh, yeah.
Like every day I
Balloons.
sit down on the toilet, there's no snakes coming out of there. But it's worth checking.
That's right.
So I'm like,
I'm scared of toilet seats.
So I guess on my scale.
That they're dirty. I'm not ashamed to admit I'm a toilet paper coverer.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Public toilets are gross, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting in that shit.
You don't know
people shit on the toilet seat.
You don't know whose hindquarters have been.
Yeah, people don't wash their
cozied
butts
up to that.
Anyway, sorry.
So I guess I'm like Luke. I'm like tepid on a scale of 1 to 10 about good versus evil. I'm neither plausible nor not plausible.
Just on the basis of whether they're good or evil.
Yeah, on the devil to angel scale, I am.
You're right in the middle.
A human being. I'm completely corruptible either way.
Wow.
As for existence, I got to give it a plausible minus.
Wow.
On a scale of 10.
That's higher than me.
No, plausible minus.
I'm plausible smidge.
Wait.
Plausible minus is higher than plausible smidge.
No,
For sure.
I thought this was plausible plus a little. A smidge is a little. I'm saying less than plausible.
Okay, what I meant to say was what you're saying.
Okay. So we're both plausible smidge. Going forward, we recognize that plausible smidge is only a smidge plausible.
I think in our mind's eye, we imagine the scale is different.
Yeah.
I think you have plausibility right in the middle.
Plausible's in the middle.
Yeah, and me, I was thinking of like a bar.
Oh, okay.
So like,
I get
the
it.
amount of plausibility is like a smidge.
I see. Okay, you just had a tiny sliver of plausibility.
But for all the past episodes, I've used your scale.
Okay, okay. So this is a special Beck only scale on plausibility.
But we have essentially the same feelings.
So the verdicts, yeah, we come down the same. Plausible smidge on the bar scale.
A negative
specific
smidge.
for this episode. And who knows? Maybe it'll come back.
What do you mean?
Maybe this scale will make another
scale.
reappearance.
Okay.
Some night, late at night, when we're home alone.
Spooky.
We'll hear a knock at the door, and there it will be. That scale.
That histogram.
That bar chart.
It's a bell curve.
Hey, you got any mail in there for me? Yeah, what's your name? Bar chart.
Who is that?
Bar chart.
Is that me?
No, it's just
Bar chart?
Bar chart. Just some guy. Bar chart.
Oh God. Well, that was it, Andy. That was our discussion of black-eyed kids.
And
You think you'd let them in? Would you honestly let them in?
you know, Art, if I heard a knock at my door late at night and I went and there were two kids there and I got a feeling of terror, I'd be like, let's get it started.
What are you gonna? What?
Time
gonna
to
do
throw,
those
time
fucking
to throw
kids?
down.
Oh,
And I'll punt them into another county. They don't know who they're messing with.
man, I would fucking pay money to write a pilot with you that involves Andy Hart, fucking demon hunter. It's just you like fucking sprinting around.
Oh God. Hold on. I can catch my breath. That was a fast demon.
Punting
no, if
black-eyed kids.
if they came to the door, Art, what would I do? I would like creep up to the peephole as slowly as possible. Dear God, I hope they don't come to the back door where there's no peephole, because I would not want to open that door. But if I saw two kids, I would probably open it at first and just see what they needed. But I don't know. It's because it's kids.
Right.
But who knows what would happen from there? I wouldn't let them in, probably, even if it was nice kids. That's just not. That feels weird to me.
That's city smarts, man.
That feels weird to me.
Yeah. Unless I recognize them as neighborhood kids,
Yeah.
they're not getting inside my house.
Even then, I would be like, I don't know. I feel weird about letting another child into my house, unless it's like.
Well, they're not going to run around your house. You're going to keep them in the foyer.
Well, I mean, still,
Under the chandelier.
Still, I live in a building, so there's no reason for them to even come inside. Like, outside of my front door is inside still.
That's true.
So it's not like, oh, I come in and get out of the rain. Like, you're already out of the rain.
Yeah, I think nowadays, though, it's like people have cell phones and shit, and it's kind of like, well, I feel like you're reading a lot of these stories. They take place in the 90s when walking up to someone's house and asking to use their phone was probably a lot more normal.
Yeah, like Brian Bethel's story is normal. I mean, a kid walks up to you while you're outside of a movie theater and is like, hey, can you give me a ride home so that I can get money from my mom to go see a movie? It's like, I don't know. That seems like a reasonable 90s request.
Very 90s.
But if somebody did that today, you might be like,
Yeah. Do you give your cell phone to the fucking weirdo on the train platform who asks for your cell phone? Hell no.
I did it once on the bus.
Oh, Andy.
And it was a huge mistake. The guy was like talking so loud into the phone, and the bus driver yelled back at him that he needed to be quiet. And he like yelled back at her that she needed to shut up and that he was going to call the police. And I was like, oh, okay, I need my phone back.
Nope.
Yep. I learned my lesson.
Yeah. Now you have an OtterBox.
Yeah. I can't even get into it. I haven't used the phone in weeks.
Well, Andy, that was any final thoughts here on the Black Eyed Children? Cool metal band name.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's like a kids metal band.
You know, I'll just say to the listeners, children's metal band. They do metal covers of children's nursery rhymes. Listeners, if you're out there, if you've had a experience with a black-eyed kid or a black-eyed child or a BEK, and it's something you're willing to share, we'd love to hear about it. Email us your experience, mrbunkerpod@gmail.com, or tweet us if it's a short story or you just feel like doing a lot of tweets. Tweet at us at Mr. Bunkerpod. Use the hashtag MyBeckStory.
Use the hashtag MyBeckStory. Well, listeners, for the titular Mr. Bunker and my voluptuous co-host, Andy Hart.
I like that you didn't say voluptuous. You said voluptuous.
It was on purpose.
My lovely lady lumps. I mean, male lumps.
It's got quite a bunch of junk in that trunk.
Yeah. What am I going to do with all this junk, all this junk inside my trunk?
Well, Andy, I think you're going to...
That was a Fergie solo.
Get you drunk.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, she had the solo part in there.
Sorry, that's we're taking it way back, listeners. That reference was pretty 2000 and late.
Oh, no. It's going to get stupid in here.
Yeah.
Originally, that line was something else, but I'm not going to repeat it.
That's why I said let's get it started earlier.
Oh, that's right. Anyway, for the titular Mr. Bunker and for my voluptuous co-host, Andy Hart, I'm Arthur Stone saying that was the whole enchilada.
Yummy.